being a mom, and I am Michael's in daycare part-time, but I'm home with him a lot, and I'm like, how many times I painted his coat. I could paint.
The backpack too, right?
Yeah, I did his backpack.
I like the backpack a lot.
I could paint his shoes. There's like everything around him. Like he is like what I do every day. So.
Okay, Karla Hunter, I'm excited to have you in.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, we had a quick conversation, met at the holiday show that we had here, but I've seen your work in the store previous, and I like what you're doing on Instagram and your social media presence. Even though these aren't frame center frames, I think it's art, and I really like the way you're incorporating the frame into the artwork. I think that's cool.
Thank you.
Is that, what inspired that idea?
Yeah, so I'm working on a collection right now that is all inspired by history of the harbor, I'm calling it. So we have such a rich history here in the South Shore, actually like all of Massachusetts, and the working harbor. So
you're in Situate. Is it strictly Situate Harbor, or is it?
So I'm in Cohasset.
Oh, you're in Cohasset.
Yeah. So it started with Cohasset. So I went to the Historical Society, and that's kind of where all the inspiration came from. I started to do a life jacket they had on display and a life ring, and just read some stories that they had on display. So I really had wanted to do a sailor or a fisherman for a while. I had done it many versions, several. So I decided to dive in and do a larger scale. So this is, just representing the hardworking fishermen. I mean, that we still have today, but just kind of like this like gnarly sweater, this kind of Grundon orange hat, and it just didn't feel right without having a little pipe in his mouth.
And so that's just kind of a representative guy. He's
Exactly.
he's not the famous Cohasset fisherman.
No, nobody famous. A lot of my other pieces in this are very specific, but this is just kind of a nod to those fishermen. I used a couple different reference photos, and it kind of also looks like my husband, who is also a fisherman. So,
nice.
Nobody specific, no tie to any historical event, but a lot of the other pieces in this series that I'm working on are a little bit more focused on.
So what's the series going to consist of? Do you have how many pieces? Do you have
right now
goals for that, or do you like working in series?
I do. I think I put unrealistic timelines on it. I'm supposed to release it tomorrow, and I'm not nearly done. But that's just, I think, the artist in me procrastinating until the last minute. But I have 8 pieces in the show right now, or the collection. One's a big striped bass, and I have kind of like this restaurant receipt incorporating different common summer items that would be eaten maybe in the 1920s, along with prices. And then I have this propeller this is one of my favorite ones, and it was one of the first ones that I did of the series. It was a propeller that was found after 7 rum runners were they had escaped being captured in 1920, and they left like 200 cases of rum on the beach, and they got away on their little boat. End up crashing, and then the propeller washed up. So just kind of incorporating. Some have the frame, some are just on canvas, but a few other things like incorporating fishing, the old lighthouse in Cohasset or Situate, Minot Light. The original one was up only for two years, which is a pretty crazy story. And yeah, so trying to dance around different things, and as I'm learning about more of the history, mostly in Cohasset, but I think it's not limited to. It's just where so far I've only gone to the Cohasset.
Yeah, well, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So the show, do you have like a spot in mind for it to be on display, or are you just trying to finish the work first?
I'm just trying to finish the work, and if I really never say no if somebody is interested in it and it feels like it's going to the right home, then I'll sell it. But I have a solo show in June, which I'm, if any of these are left over for June, that would be great. But
Where's that show?
At the Indigo House Gallery
Oh,
in
in
Duxbury. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So yeah.
So that show is just going to be like a representation of your work. It's not like not the historical Cohasset show in Duxbury.
Not specifically. I think I am in the beginning of my career, so I think what I have to show right now in that show will be a mix of things. It won't necessarily just be one niche thing, which I think a lot of shows are for artists. They're one collection or one, and I think I'm very much in my exploratory phase, playing around and just being creative. So some of my pieces next to this, you might not think it's mine without knowing, but I've had a couple pieces, in the holiday show, the one that sold here.
There was a couple
Doctor's
pieces
Island. And then the other two weren't really the same.
Yeah, no, because I saw them and I didn't realize it was the same.
Yeah,
you were the same art.
Yeah. So, and I'm allowing myself to do that and just explore and be creative, and not holding myself down to one different style. I think this is I'm really jiving with the style right now. So
the gold leaf is
the gold leaf, the working with the frame. Not all frames are friendly to do the stripes, but the gold leaf is very tedious.
What's the significance to the stripes? I see you use that a lot, and I like it. I just and I like the powerful outlines you put on things too.
Yeah.
And any significance?
No
or
significance.
Just you like the way it looks.
Yeah, I think it's one of many techniques that kind of just happen almost out of accident. So I had done a lighthouse series last year, and I really wanted to create prints. I scanned them, I printed them, but printing them, it just didn't do the paintings justice. So I went into Photoshop and I added some stripes behind the lighthouses, and I really liked them. So that was kind of like where the stripes all began. And then they've just kind of taken off. They're just add a different element, I guess.
No, it does, and it has it gives you kind of a signature, right? It makes your work stand out, which I just recently did a talk about, and this was like one of the things I was trying to hammer home when I was doing it. Like, mine was more about choosing like a framing style that works for you, and like so when people see that, they associate that that style with your incorporated with your work, and they identify you. Yeah. And I think that the stripes, if I see this, even if somebody else did it, my mind would go right to, is that Karla's piece?
Yeah, the first painting I did like this with the frame and the stripes was an old ship. I actually did it for Cal Mahoney's, one of his shows, released the Kraken, I believe it was. And I had done the frame. It was I think it was two-toned to begin with. And a lot of times I'll change the background like 7 times before I settle on something. This one had a few different renditions, and then I added the gold leaf, and it was final. But for that, the ship that I did, that I had 2 tones, and then I went in with the stripes. I'm like, okay, this is it. Like that one, that kind of really spoke to me. So I just kept going.
Yeah. Now, the gold leaf, is that something you had some experience with, or is that just figure it out as you go?
I have had a little experience with it. So the frame and the gold leaf kind of tie back to my high school art teacher, Mr. Golden. I feel like he has kind of stayed with me very much throughout the years, and he would, this is kind of subconscious too, I think, when I got into this, but he would take old frames and gold leaf them. I have a painting hanging in my house of his, and so it's like a constant reminder. That one's not gold leafed, but I just get to see his artwork all the time in my home, and so maybe it's a little note to him, and just him constantly just working on a frame in the corner while we're all working on our pieces in high school.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a nice tie, and like I love stories behind things and like the significance. I'm excited for your show at the Indigo House, because I've been like I've peeked in the windows down
Yeah.
there. I haven't actually been in. I thought just looking in and seeing some of the stuff that maybe more of the stuff was sculpture based, but
I think
they have a.
they do have a little bit of, I think, everything, and I think there's some rotating things and artists and rotating shows.
It looks like a great spot.
It is. It really is.
Now I have an excuse to go.
Yeah. So June, I forget the dates off the top of my head, but I'll let you know when the opening is. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make sure we blast that out and to help promote.
Yeah.
And like I said, that'll be a good reason for me to get down there and say hello. That's on my short list of places I want
they're really
to explore
great. Really
and try
kind.
to make people aware of.
Yeah. No, they have so many great pieces in there. I've gotten a piece for my husband a few years ago from there. And yeah, they're really nice. I've known them for a little bit, but yeah.
Nice. You picked up a piece from them. So you're collecting art as well as creating it.
Yeah, I forget her last name. I believe her name is Jules, and it's a fin. It's a painting on a surf fin.
Yep.
So I got that for when my husband turned 30, one of his gifts, and maybe it was more for me, but
that's the nice thing about buying art for a sibling, not for a partner.
Yeah.
My wife gets a lot of paintings that I like. Somehow she ends up with all these paintings that really speak to me.
Yeah.
But
they made you think of her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that that's another thing I think about constantly is like buying art and to significant to I don't know, so that it's kind of like a memory, I mean, I think people do it all the time when they're on vacations, or when there's like an occasion that you want to mark. So.
Yeah, I have found just being kind of myself and relatable, like people will relate to some of the things that maybe I've been through, or I think just being open about things that people relate to it and they connect with it and they want a piece. And when I did the 100 days, I did it last year as well.
Yeah.
And I was still working at Island Creek, and they had a little market in the backyard of the Windsor House.
Yeah. And so I was down with Michael before when they were doing the setup.
Yeah. So that I had done the 100 days started last year when I had just gone back to Island Creek and from my maternity leave, and I had created so much during my maternity leave, so it was very important to me when I did go back that I needed to still paint, because there's been years that I just didn't pick up a paintbrush. So when I went back, I just challenged myself, like whether it's 15 minutes or an hour every night after my son was asleep, to do a daily painting. And I sold those at the market. That
you sell them all?
I didn't sell them all, but just having conversations with people, and it was just, I'm meeting a lot of moms. I think it was around Mother's Day too, but just meeting so many different people and letting them know I did this during, working through postpartum and trying to just find time for myself during that time. I think people related to that. And, like whether it's like you said, like going on vacation, you connect with a piece, just how,
connecting with an artist and like realizing that, oh, she's a mother too. I think that like that helps sell the artwork so much. I think it's so important. I don't want to say it's like a marketing piece, but it's just like putting yourself out there. As is like the Instagram stuff, which you do. Like I said, you do a great job with.
Thank you. Yeah.
It lets people into your world and it makes you more relatable. The 100 pieces. What day are you on today?
Today will be 57.
57?
Yeah.
Nice. You already know. Do you have them planned out?
Nope.
No?
Nope. Not at all.
Maybe if there was a microphone or something like that with a certain logo, I could guarantee you're going to sell it.
That's a good idea. I sometimes I'll like take an inspiration from the day.
Yep.
But sometimes I'm just struggling. Like I've been doing a lot of like beers and just like glasses.
Yep.
Like I think last night I did a Topo Chico, but I just it's just for me that's a very detailed piece, but it's mindless. I don't have to think about it. And yeah, so
that's kind of like what, sometimes I go to acupuncture to get de-stressed, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, but sometimes getting to acupuncture is the stress. So like, you're
Yeah.
painting to like relax and like calm your mind, but the stressful part is figuring out what you're going to paint.
100%. Yeah. A lot of times I'm just.
And there's so much around you in reality, right? Like, but.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and being a mom, and I am. Michael's in daycare part-time, but I'm home with him a lot, and I'm like, how many times I painted his coat, I could paint.
The backpack too, right?
Yeah, I did his backpack.
I like the backpack a lot.
I could paint his shoes. There's like everything around him, like he is like what I do every day. So
probably all very relatable stuff too.
Yeah. I mean, the little jacket sold, which I was so glad, because that's very niche to
paint his whole wardrobe.
Yeah, very niche to like him and my son, but you know, maybe somebody else that made them think of their son or their child, and they don't paint. So maybe that, that's something that they can capture this time of their little.
Yeah, and then I mean, again, sometimes I feel like people just need that like last push over the finish line to buy artwork. Yeah. Not necessarily maybe part of it is they want to buy the art, something from you, and then they see something that they really relate on, like the child. I was excited about these two.
Yeah.
The Hornster Farm.
Yeah, I want to know why these spoke to you.
So Hornster Farm, I don't know. My wife used to be in the dairy business, and I just feel like Hornster Farm is very,
Very
I was shocked that one hadn't sold when you scooped
it up pretty soon. I'd actually know. I don't think I even put them online before you.
Well, I knew you hadn't made it clear that you were selling them, so I wasn't sure. So I didn't even know if I was weird to ask. And the Cinnabon one, that's what I told you. If you're in Prince, I think I got another sale for you.
Love that.
Just a friend of mine, kind of a joke, and I like it.
Yeah,
I think it was a cool painting. I love the stripes in the background that really made it pop out.
Thank you. When I did them last year, everyone was asking if I had prints of them, and I didn't. I didn't think about that. So this year I've been scanning them. So I will do prints.
Is that a lot of? That's like a website thing we were talking about earlier, right? Like putting those onto a website to sell them.
Yeah, most of the time, like if anybody wants anything on my Instagram, like slide into my DMs, because getting everything online is definitely takes a lot of time.
Yep.
And it's not something I always.
It's not a priority, right?
Yeah,
you want to create. You want to take care of your son. Like that marketing aspect and that like that sales aspect. It's very helpful to put it in somebody else's hands, or to have a partner.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk. I had Brian Sager, another classic guy, him in, but I want to have his wife in too.
Yeah, I actually just talked with her the other day.
She, manages the whole studio and like is the support system for him to be out and be creative and not worry about how do I sell this, how do I make a living from this, because that can I feel like that can really kill someone's creativity.
Totally. It's funny you say that, because I just chatted with her last week, and I think that's such a great dynamic duo, having to take away all that admin or the thought of advertising it, and I think it's like vulnerable to put yourself out there and self-promote. I think it's very hard and uncomfortable.
Yep.
But you gotta do it. So
yeah, no, you do.
But I lovely chat with her. She's wonderful.
Yeah, no, she's great.
And I think that's very valuable. Like, I talk to my husband a lot about different ideas, and he appreciates art and that, and I get a lot of great feedback from him.
He's not ready to become an administrator and start selling your work. No. Give up fishing.
He has too many hobbies. But having that kind of right-hand woman, I guess, for their sake is extremely valuable.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a reason why galleries, are surviving, and that people are representing people, because then you can put the focus on just creating and not, I guess I mean, then again, then you run into a balance. It's like, well, hey, these fisherman pictures are going to sell all day, but like you don't want to do them anymore.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. It's a weird dynamic. If I figure out the secret
Yeah,
formula,
let me know.
I'll let you know what it is.
Yeah, let me know. I think so. I was before I worked at Island Creek. I was attempting to do art full time, and I was younger then. That was like 6 years ago, and I know a lot more now. And I was new to the South Shore then. Now I'm like, this art community was under my nose this whole time, and I had no idea. So I think that like raising a child, you need a community. Like being a professional artist in any aspect, you need a community, and I think that we're really lucky.
Where were you before?
So I was in Boston, and then I was in Marshfield for 3-4 years until we moved to Cohasset.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you originally from this? You're not from the South Shore
No, I'm
originally?
from Vermont, northern Vermont.
Nice.
Yeah. Up in the woods.
Beautiful. Well, there's beautiful scenery up there too.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always been inspired by outdoors and landscapes, and it's just kind of changed to landscapes, oceanscapes.
Yeah, and then when you were down here originally, that's when you started working at Island Creek?
Yep. I started working there in 2019, and at the time I was just a food runner when they had the food truck.
Sure.
And then the last couple of years I was on the hospitality team doing their on-site programming. So I managed all the farm tours. So we were talking a little bit earlier about how fascinating all of that is.
Yeah.
I could go on for hours about the life of an oyster and all of that. I've learned so much. But yeah, I also managed all of the programming, things at the Windsor House, things at the Raw Bar. So
no, I think that the amazing facility down there.
Really
I think the culture of that workplace is really cool too.
Yeah.
I think we have a couple of friends in common that have connected me to Island Creek and gotten me to do some framing down there. Michael Coyne and Annie Abruzzi, who are play roles there. Are you still involved with them, or is it
not beyond friendships? No. So I left. I went back for 3 months after my maternity leave, and my priorities just changed to be home with Michael and creating my artwork. But we still get down to visit. I recently put a piece into the a silent auction down there. So we went down there recently and saw some. As
a business owner, I can say, obviously you want the people that work for you to succeed and you want them to work for you if they're a good worker.
Right.
But more importantly, like you build a relationship with them, and I'm sure that the fact that you still come back is like super important to the team and the people that you worked with.
Yeah. Like you said earlier, the culture, that's what I was drawn to. Like I said, I was trying to do art full time, and I was young. I needed to meet people, so like what a perfect place. So some really amazing people that still do work there, and connections I'll have forever. And it's a great environment, and it just gets funner and funner down there.
It seems like they're doing some great stuff down there, and sometimes Annie comes in with these ideas for the room. I'm not sure how she puts them all together, but they seem to work.
It's incredible. Her mind is incredible.
I'm gonna put this type of frame on there. I'm like, are you sure you want to? Yeah. I'm gonna flip the frame over. We're gonna, I want to use a broken frame.
So did you do some of the framing at the house?
I've helped her and, with a bunch of stuff there. Nice. And, some of the stuff is she just finds frames in antique stores, but, I help fine-tune a bunch of it. But it's, been really cool, and she's interesting to work with because her mind she knows exactly what she wants, and like
it's incredible.
And sometimes it's challenging to figure out how to, when you're trying to make frames that are gonna hold up or that are structurally right, and so I want it to like kind of feel broken, or it's a challenge, but it's a fun one because it makes it interesting.
I can see that. And I've been inspired. Annie is so inspiring. She challenges me. She is my husband's aunt, so we're very close. And she is very inspiring. She challenges me to think differently.
This is the sort of thing I feel like this guy could be. He could be an oyster man.
Yeah,
he could be hanging in there.
He could be. He probably does it all. He probably lobsters, oysters.
Covers all the fishing aspects.
Yeah, I have another piece that I almost brought in. That is of a guy hauling in 2 tuna fish. But the stripes, that one doesn't have stripes, so I felt like the stripes were needed.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that one because, like I said, I feel like that's kind of a mark of your work.
Yeah.
So is it now? You're finding yourself able to produce every day, even with it's Michael. You said yourself.
Yeah, Michael. Yep. It's not easy. Like last night, it was hard to pick up that paintbrush, but it's always like one of those things like, thinking about going to the gym, you never want to do it, but you feel better after doing it. That's the same way I feel after painting. It's my brain is always going. I don't know if everyone's brain is that way, but my brain is constantly going about who knows what.
Yep.
So when I'm painting, it's truly the only time that it's just like quiet.
Yep. Reactionary type thing. It's like playing a sport, right?
Yeah.
Like you stop everything else. You have to shut down because you have to like.
Yeah. So it's my zen. It's my self-care. Yeah.
That's great. The 100 pieces, those ones are on Instagram. You just scroll back and see them all.
Yeah.
Or are they on display anywhere else?
They are on my Instagram. So I've made reels for most of them. So sometimes I will hide them from my grid just for like aesthetics, and I just don't want my whole feed to be all the minis because I want to showcase some of my other work too. So I've hidden them from my main page, but on the reel page they're mostly there if I've made a reel. Like last night I didn't have the energy to make a reel. So yeah, they're all on my Instagram. Anyone that is available is on my website. I once they're sold, they kind of go away. Just to declutter a website, but
when I open up Instagram, I like to see what you're working on.
Yeah.
See if there's another one. Have you sold a fair amount of them?
Yeah, I don't know how many, but I would say definitely a third of them so far. Maybe probably more, but yeah, I probably need to do another push. So I hang them up on my wall until I scan them and get them on my website. So once that section's full, then I'll scan them and upload them. So we're getting pretty full.
Yeah, is the studio space? Is there like a defined studio space, or is it makeshift because of your son?
It is. It is. We have a pretty large living room, and it's in my living room, which. One day I would love to have a studio, like a legit studio space, but it is very practical for now. I can, when I have 5 minutes, I can sit down. If I have more than, and then I, just, actually a lot of times I'll have your podcast on the back or TV on the back. And it's very practical for right now. Yep. It's just kind of everything's out, ready to go, which is probably not a good thing because it's not baby-proof at all.
Well, he has to learn what he can mess with and what he can't.
I'll probably learn once he dumps paint all over the couch. But, so everything's kind of out. And a lot of times I'll bring up his little stool and just tape a piece of paper onto my table, and he'll play with crayons or markers or whatever, just so I can get a few more minutes in.
And now I also saw your push for 3,000.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw the post and then I looked and you had blown past it.
Yeah.
That was a good marketing.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. And again, like when I was talking about earlier, the community is pretty inspiring. So I'd shared that I was close. I think it was 8 away from 3,000, and I think one person shared. And then it went right over. And then once I did the giveaway, I got almost 100 followers with that giveaway, which was pretty crazy. And truthfully, I was like, I don't know if I want to do a giveaway. What if nobody wants it? So I was wrong, which was great. I was blown away with
Yeah.
the response. So, yeah.
Well, I think that you're right. I think this is a great community. I think for art, I think sometimes, just shining the spotlight on it. I think that's what my goal is.
Yeah.
Right, with this space here, and with what I do. Obviously, like the more people are inspired to buy art, the more people are going to end up with frames. But at the same time, I think there's so many super talented, interesting people that are around here creating art that goes, kind of go unnoticed. So I'm excited that, that people also think that this is, especially for someone from outside of the area.
Yeah.
Because there's so much great art, so many cool people. And hearing their stories, I think, just is, cool.
Yeah. I mean, like we said earlier, just being relatable. We're human. We're following dreams and maybe going outside the box a little bit, but with everything that you're doing for the artist community is amazing. So thank you, and it's fun to see all the people that you have on the podcast. You get to know them a little bit better, and I've listened to several, and it just made me feel more okay. Like this is normal, or just validating a lot of things that I've been through or I'm feeling. So thanks for sharing all these artist stories. It's been really awesome.
I mean, like I said, everyone that's on, I like, and that's why they're on. And I think that if it draws more connections too, like, you might you see somebody and you didn't realize you've seen their work, but, and you walked right past that artist, in a show or somewhere. Right. Now it's like, hey, I saw you on that. I saw you on the podcast. And then it's like a start to a conversation.
Absolutely, I feel like, again, being in the beginning of my career, I've had pieces here in shows. I've had pieces at the North River Art Society, and I'll admire pieces, and then full circle, I'll see them on your podcast, or I'll see them in another show, and like you're just connecting all the dots, and or you're meeting them in person, whatever it is. It's a very rich community, and just.
No, you're in Cohasset too. Do you get over to South Shore?
I haven't yet. I think
you haven't yet.
I know. It's my goal this year.
There's a show there on the 6th for Lorinda O'Connor. I would highly suggest stopping by that one. It's going to be a madhouse. I'll be there. Dina will be there.
Awesome. Well, I've seen it on their Instagram a lot. To be honest, and no specific reason at all. I was just intimidated to join, so I think I wanted to take one thing at a time. So I did the North River Art Society.
Another fantastic organization too.
Wonderful. Julia's amazing. I sat down with her the other day to do some classes, and
nice. You're gonna do some.
Maybe? I'm like, what do I have to offer? I don't know. So teaching other artists, or I used to actually
get a bunch of people with little children. Bring all the kids there too.
I used to be an art teacher.
You were?
I know. Yeah, I've had many lives. I taught art for 2 years.
Where'd you fit this all in?
So I originally went to school for art education. Quickly changed when I went in because I didn't know if that's what I wanted to do. So I graduated with a focus in painting and graphic design. And then I was in Boston for a few years, and I was like, all right, maybe we want to try painting or teaching again. And so I worked at Catholic schools because it was private. You didn't need a teaching license.
Yep.
And so I worked at several different Catholic schools around Massachusetts. So I was traveling every day, different schools, which was a challenge. But it was great. Working with kids was great. It was just a lot of traveling, and then I moved to the South Shore, and most of them were north.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's cool. I think that that's one of our next steps, like trying to promote classes and stuff like that too. Yeah. So please keep, if anything shakes out, let me know. Yeah, North River is a great organization. Julie is great.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think back. She was, we had her on for a while ago.
Yeah, that was one of the first ones I listened to. I definitely want to join South Shore.
There's so many too.
I think I just wanted a little bit of experience on being a part of a community like that. Yep. So I think being in town made it a little bit more I don't know, serious to me or pressure.
Yep.
I put that on myself. But so yeah, I would love to join that community and
Yeah, I mean, I think all of those communities are so tied together. I
Yeah.
mean, like, there's galleries, different art associations, and I think that the crossover is huge anyway. And it's usually like, all right, well, I live here, and these two are close to me. I think that's usually what dictates the
Right.
the proximity to the things, so you can go to the events. Because I think
Right.
going to the events as well and supporting other artists, so like if you want people to support you, like
yeah, I
Yeah.
love going to the events.
Yeah.
It's like it feels like a dream to go to the events and just be surrounded by other artists.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, and artists, art people that enjoy art. I think
Yeah.
it's that one. Like I said, the 6th, that is Lorinda's opening. Her show, I think it's like half sold out at this point. Like tons, I mean, I think a lot of people where she passed, and she was such
Yeah.
an important figure in the community.
Yeah.
People want to own a piece from
Oh,
her.
absolutely.
But it looks great. I saw it the other day and picked out what I'm, which ones I'm taking home.
You better
and,
get on it. Sounds like they're hot commodity.
Yeah, but I think it'll be a nice, memorial type
Absolutely,
of thing for
that's
that night. But I
very
think
special.
it'll be a full house because she
Yeah.
had such a big following. And in the back they have a show for her students.
That's nice.
Like the master students. So it's like it's fun to see that lineage.
Yeah, absolutely. And just everyone that she's touched.
Yeah, and the different styles back there too. But there's, if you look closely, you can see like what they took away from like learning from her.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
it's an interesting tie into the show in the main gallery.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see like how people that have been such a big inspiration to you, like how they come through in your paintings. Like I mentioned my
Yeah.
high school teacher earlier. I think I went many years without really seeing his work in my work, but now it's coming back. And
Are you still connected with him too?
I haven't spoken to him in a bit, but
You should send him to the podcast.
I know I should. He's wonderful. He was actually also my mom's art teacher in high school.
Okay.
So very special. Yeah.
Nice. That's a nice connection. Do you show anything up in Vermont?
No,
too?
but another thing that I would love to do. My elementary art teacher, she is a part of a gallery up there, and
Yep.
I would say the art scene is, or maybe it was there the whole time and I wasn't aware of it, but I feel like it's starting to blossom, which is really great to see. It's a very small town, so seeing different artists, and I follow that, follow their journey and seeing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I know there's some nice galleries up in Vermont. I mean, I think obviously because that picturesque, like the snowfall on
Yes.
things. Like I think
Yes.
that it's such a beautiful area.
Yeah.
You know that there's got to be some spaces that are selling captured moments of that.
Yeah. There's one coffee shop in town in East Burke, and it is just head to toe with art. They're a neighbor of mine. His name is Dorian. He challenged himself to paint every single person in the town of East Burke.
Really?
And technically, we don't live in East Burke, but he had painted my brother and I in the beginning of the journey. But it's just a whole chimney, and it has like hundreds of portraits. I don't know where he got in his journey, but it's pretty incredible.
I'm trying to, separate myself from work more, and Vermont's one of the spots that so when the time comes,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to, I'll have to tap you for some places to hit
let me
like
know.
this, because that sounds like like something I'd want to see.
Yeah, it's just kind of like grungy old.
I have a
in the
couple
best way.
galleries in Vermont that like just not going to Vermont aside from going like taking my son to hockey rinks
Yeah.
up there, trying to figure out the proximity of like, all right, this is here and this is here and I'm going here.
Yeah.
So like we can peel off for an hour, between the games or after games and
Yeah.
like check out these things?
Nothing's close.
No.
I went to college in Vermont. It was still 2.5 hours from where I grew up. Like,
Yeah.
in the same small state. But there's big mountains in the way, and yeah, everything was at least 20 minutes away from my house.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about you coming in. I'm excited about the 100 pieces. I'm going to continue to keep an eye out because I feel like, there was a few others that I was interested in, but I didn't want to just buy them all from you. but I'm going to revisit them and,
Yeah, let me know. There was a time that I wanted to not sell them and just do all just have them in a show of 100 of them, but
there's always after this 100 days are done,
more.
you always have more, right?
Yeah, I've dabbled with the idea of doing like 100 days of drawings or 100 days of small acrylic paintings, but I won't get ahead of myself. I'll decide that on the fly.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you do it, I think it would be a fun thing to show off, and I know a guy or I know a space that might be excited to help you, put it out there if you can go 100 days without selling them.
Yeah,
that's probably part of the challenge as an artist.
Yeah, and I'm flattered that anybody wants my pieces, so it's hard to say no if somebody is interested. So,
did the small frames work out
perfect? Yeah,
Nice.
Perfect. I really like how you framed them here, but they're not all. These are very straight. How I taped them off.
Yep.
But they're not all that straight.
I lucked out. I would have figured out a different way to display them if they weren't.
This is beautiful, and then the 6x6 frames that you gave are perfect.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm excited about them. I'm looking forward to some more, and I've also seen you like posting stuff about like live events,
yes.
right? So was it the clothing place?
So I had just done one at Brooklyn, Maine in Cohasset. I did a silhouette event where I'm not doing the silhouettes live there, but I'm taking photos of the kids and doing a proof, on my iPad. Yep. So I basically will just trace a photo. I work straight off the photo, but I've done a lot of silhouettes, and the hardest part for the parents is just getting their kids to sit still. So having them come and I'll take photos was a great turnout. I have one in Legacy Place for an event they're putting on. It's called Together. Emphasis on her at the end of Together. It's a women networking event.
Okay.
So that is on the 6th.
And what will you be doing there?
I'll be doing live gouache portraits. So I did this at Derby Street in the wintertime, and I've done it at a few other events.
Was it like?
I was at Flaherty.
Flaherty.
Yeah,
okay. I don't know how you even say that.
Yeah,
one.
I know. I'm hoping I'm saying it right. But Christina Skeldon, she is wonderful. She is a local mom. She has a Instagram that just kind of is a place for all the moms. Like what you want to do with your kids on the weekend, you go to her, and she has all of that on her Instagram. But she had connected me with Derby Street to do that, which brought me to do the Legacy Place event. So it's just quick little 15-minute sketches of in gouache paint. I actually have a lot of weddings I'll be doing this summer too.
Nice.
One thing just kind of led to another doing that.
I think it's fun, like that interactive aspect of it. I'm curious about it because I'd love to have maybe we can kind of coordinate something. I mean, I don't know how does for somebody that wanted to book you for one of these events, how would they go about it?
You can message me on Instagram or
and are you selling
email.
to the people, or are you just are you charging them a rate?
It depends. I think every place or every event is different. Some locations will hire me and then they'll pay me, or I'll do a ticketed event where you purchase your own drawing. So it just depends on what the client is looking to offer. And I'm doing another silhouette event in Osterville at another children's boutique. So those have been fun.
The silhouette thing, I think, is a cool draw. I think but the live paint, I just feel like involving like art and like seeing it be created would be interesting for people. Also, maybe in the spring when we have some nice weather outside. we can try to set something up.
Yeah, I love
I'm gonna
live painting.
kick that idea around with my team.
Yeah, let me know. I'm down for anything, any new ideas too. I think live painting is it's super fun. Whatever it is.
Is it a pressure or
No.
no? I can imagine trying to.
I've done events and other artists have come up to me and they're like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you talk to people, but I very much an introvert most of the time, but I think I have this like extrovert on reserve to come out at the right times, and I think my time at Island Creek, working on the hospitality team,
it forces you into it.
Yeah,
I'm extremely an introvert personally.
Here we are.
100%. I like being by myself and
Same.
very, very much so, but I feel like it's almost it's got to be one extreme or the other, right? Or just might as well just dive right into to everything.
Yeah, but live painting, I'm in my zen.
You're comfortable doing it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big part.
Yeah, I usually have a friend with me to help. If they want to buy any of the other artwork or taking photos, because I work all off of photos. And so that's great. So I can just focus on painting, because once I start chatting with people, it's game over. I can't focus.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited you came in. I think that, we want to let you get back to the rest of your life. But if people want to find you, the Instagram handle.
Yep.
It's
K Hunter Art.
K Hunter Art.
Yep.
What, same with the website, or is that
K Hunter Art everywhere? Yep.
Everywhere you look?
Yep.
Nice. And you have the event at Legacy. Maybe we'll try to work out some details, get an event here.
Yeah, I would love that.
And the show at Indigo House, we'll certainly push that out on our social media and try to promote you.
Thank you.
I don't know. Have you talked to Claude about setting up an artist page too?
I need to. I met him at the holiday party. I need to reach out to him, and I've been,
That would be another nice thing. I mean, those pages, I feel like people are starting to discover them.
Yeah, such a great tool.
When the idea came up, I think that people didn't really understand, and now that we've have enough people involved, it's like, oh, they're really not just trying to it's not some sort of scam or weird thing. It's just like a reference
exposure.
thing.
Yeah. And
well, for me, it's great because if somebody has a conversation, then it's like, here's a link to them, and it's meant to be like a pass through so that they can get to the artist and connect with them one-on-one or get right to their social media stuff. And then kind of hopefully at the back of their mind, or maybe in some sort of cookie thing in the internet, that they that they know that they've found them because of us, and we become like a matchmaker in a sense.
Yeah, no, it's such a great tool. And I at least was a little bit intimidated going into some of these shows and stuff. Again, for no reason except for putting that on myself. But that's a great, just kind of doing your research on the internet beforehand and having that tool is wonderful.
I think people want to, another thing with buying art, it's like you like something, you want it, but you have to remind yourself why, why do you want this Cinnabon, I mean, to me, I don't have any problem spending money on art, and, I kind of understand what I like and why I want it, but I think sometimes people are intimidated by that and you can just buy this, this Cinnabon painting because you want it, or it's like a funny thing that when you see it, you laugh thinking about a story with your friend.
Yeah. No, I love that, and to me, I'm painting it because I maybe want to challenge myself doing the icing or the reflection or anything like that, the shadows.
Nice glossy frame for that icing.
Yeah, the extra shine. But I love that people connect with it and want to have it in their home. Sometimes I worry that, a goal is to always sell my stuff because I want it to be seen. But sometimes I fear that I do too random things like a cinnamon bun, but.
Well, I'm excited to get the print version of it as well.
Yeah.
So now I can keep one and give the other one to my.
I will work on that for you.
Perfect. Well, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Continued success, and I look forward to future conversations.
Thank you.